Winner of the Seniors Division, it's Mewmew Malamar. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch and today we're going to take a look at the deck that ended up coming in first place in the Seniors Division. That was Mewmew Malamar, played by the Sableyes' own Sobi, who was lucky enough to be able to win this tournament. This deck obviously is really strong and was very successful against all of the big threats in the senior division, things like Mill and Reshizard, as well as ADP, Zacian and Pikarom, all floating around down there, as well as in the Masters. The senior division, very high skill level at the moment, and Sobi had to go all the way through a number of different players to get to the finals, including beating last year's world champion. So we'll take a look at the list and we'll see how it stacks up. The joy of a Mewmew Malamar list, as well as any other Mewmew list, is the fact that there are so many Pokemon that this deck can play. We have 23 different Pokemon in this list. It's actually not too different from the list that we were testing leading up to this event, as well as the one we featured on the channel a few weeks ago. But there are some significant improvements. Obviously, we are looking to utilize Mewtwo and Mew Tag Team GX's Perfection ability, just as Mewmew Welder does, to try and use our suite of attackers. Now, we've got a lot of Psychic attackers in this deck because we obviously want to use Psychic Energy being boosted by a 3/3 line of Malamar with Psychic Recharge. Our attackers, we have Trevenant Dusknoir, which has Night Watch for 3 energy, 150, and shuffles away 2 cards from your opponent's hand. This combines nicely with the new Marnie supporter from Sword and Shield. Shuffle your opponent's hand down to 4, remove 2, hope for the best. We also have the classic Gengar Mimikyu with Poltergeist and Horror House GX. Horror House is an incredibly strong GX attack, and it's one that we saw Sobi use in the final of the Seniors Division to buy himself a turn to get a knockout on a critical opponent's Pokemon. So Horror House, very strong. It gives the deck that little bit of extra time it needs to set up, and Poltergeist is definitely a useful attack as well. We also have one Ultra Necrozma, lucky enough to be using the gold one online. Ironically enough, I don't think I actually have a regular one, but that's beside the point. We have Photon Geyser and Sky Scorching Light, both attacks that are usable due to the use of the Aurora energy that we have in our deck, as well as a single copy of Metal, so we can utilize that attack. Aurora means we might also be able to use our one of Dedenne-GX as an attacker as well, although I doubt it. We also have one more GX Pokemon to look at that's going to be attacking consistently for us, and that is Naganadel-GX with Venom Shot. We can utilize this for energy and snipe 170 to the bench, is incredibly strong. We also play Naganadel-GX with Stinger. This is the way that we're going to deal with Mill, as well as give ourselves a little bit of flexibility in matchups that maybe won't go our way. Stinger GX means both players shuffle their prizes into their deck and replace them with 3 fresh prizes. It means that against Mill, you're going to be able to shuffle their prizes down to 3 and utilize Blacephalon with Fireworks Bomb to start taking knockouts. But also, you can utilize Stinger GX to maybe pull yourself back from the brink. We saw Nico do that in the Masters final, playing Mewmew Welder, so there's no reason we can't do that with our list as well. Since we're playing the Psychic version of Malamar, not only do we have the Baby Blacephalon, but we also have one copy of Giratina with Distortion Door, which is a very strong attacker, and we also have a copy of Mimikyu with Copycat, which can catch some of your opponents off guard, especially when they're using things like Zacian doing 230 damage. Mimikyu can just knock one of those out. Effectively, for free, you can recharge twice, and then you only give up a 1 prize attacker, which can swing the matchup for you. I forgot over here, the shiny little Latios. Tag Purge is an incredibly good attack against Pikarom, and Clear Vision can sometimes just win you the game against ADP Zacian. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on here, things like Ditto, Prism, and Poipole being played in the deck as well. Sobi liked the Poipole going in because he expected a lot of mill in the Seniors Division, which he actually saw. Poipole means that you can play that down, evolve that into your Stinger GX in order to shuffle your opponent's prizes in, give them 3, or if they're playing Obstagoon, you can evolve a Poipole into a Naganadel-GX. It's not quite as frail as the Ditto Prism. We also play 3 Jirachi. I don't think I mentioned those, but hey, It's a Pokemon deck in the standard format. You're probably going to play Jirachi. Moving on to the rest of the deck, and it's not quite as convoluted as the rest was. We've got 4 copies of Professor's Research. Discard, draw 7, very strong. We have 3 copies of Marnie. Marnie obviously allows us to shuffle our hand, place it on the bottom of the deck. We draw 5, our opponent draws 4. That's good hand disruption, especially when your opponent is about to be hit by a Night Watch, so we can shuffle their hand down to 2. It's a good combo there. We also have 4 Quick Ball and 4 Mysterious Treasure to search out Pokemon. This deck, every single Pokemon in the list, apart from Dedenne, Jirachi, and Ditto, can be searched with Mysterious Treasure, and all 3 of those can be searched for with Quick Ball, so we're not super stressed. We also have an Ordinary Rod as well, just in case we lose some of our pieces. Sometimes we end up losing Malamars in the early game, so Ordinary Rod can go in there too. We have 2 copies of Great Catcher to gust up GX Pokemon to take knockouts if we need. 2 copies of Reset Stamp. We have 2 copies of Viridian Forest to find energy, as well as discard our Pokemon. 4 Switch, which I may or may not have already mentioned, as well as 1 copy of a Skateboard. The energy, 7 Psychic, 1 Metal, and 2 Aurora. The Aurora not necessary in this particular list. You could potentially just play 3 Metal, but the extra discard from Aurora is always good. And it does free you up to possibly even play the Fairy Mimikyu, which might be more useful against ADP. But hey, the Psychic one is perfectly acceptable here. So, this deck obviously strong enough in the Seniors Division. Will it be strong enough on the ladder? We'll check it out and find out. So I've put my headphones on and I'm sitting here with Jordan, who's going to do some commentary over this one. How you doing, Jordan?
Very well. I'm pretty excited to see these 2 decks go up against each other, because these are probably the 2 decks that I like the most in this format.
Yeah, exactly. We've got Mewmew Malamar on our side, obviously Sobi's list. We've got to test it out, and I think the game that we are about to see is against ADP Zacian, so this one could be very, very close. We'll have to wait and see. We're going first here. We've got a reasonably good hand. We've got a Dedenne if we want to use it, as well as a couple of Pokemon search cards, so we'll be able to grab ourselves some Inkay early on, and that's normally the best way to go in this type of deck.
Yeah, this is certainly the kind of opening hand that you want to see with this deck, but it's kind of scary looking at our opponent's side of the field, actually, because we do see that Absol on their bench already, which is definitely not what you want to see when you open Jirachi. And also, this is actually a matchup where going second isn't actually that bad of an idea, because since we're going first, our opponent does have the option to just go for that first turn Ultra Creation GX, even if it's just with the Metal Energy. The plus 30 damage is the most important thing from that GX attack in this matchup, so getting the turn 1 clear vision is definitely one of the better strategies to go for in this matchup, and that might not be available to us going second.
Yeah, exactly. We could be in a bit of strife here. We have managed to grab Professor's Research off of this Jirachi. We've also got a switch here as well. We're quick balling. This is a bad decision. You don't need to tell me this. I don't need to do this right now. I don't know why I'm doing this now. I think I'm just excited that I got a Gengar Mimikyu that I could attack with next turn, but kids, don't do. I clicked the highlighted cards. What do you want from me? Don't do this at home.
Gengar isn't even the best attacker to go into if they don't Ultra Creation.
Didn't even get Latios. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, here's the thing, Mitch. If you held the quick ball, you could have gotten Eva, depending on what our opponent does.
I know. It's almost as if I was playing this whilst I was desperately hoping that I'd get a decent matchup and misplayed, but that's okay. Our opponent having a pretty strong start here, getting a Professor Magnolia, and I mean, as long as, like you said, they get an ADP and an attachment, you'd be feeling pretty strong if you're ADP Zacian.
Yeah, I mean, the single effect isn't enough to win the matchup. Obviously, if you get the double effect, I think they're in such a strong position to win this matchup, but just the single effect makes it really close, but it's good for us because even though we don't want them to have that plus 30 damage, we don't want them to be able to one-shot our Mewtwo's, it does give us the luxury of having access to a different GX attack later on in the game.
Yeah, exactly. So my opponent here with the Jirachi, they have that ADP with the energy on the bench, so all they need is a switch and they'll be able to declare the GX attack. So you have to think that that's going to be what they'd go for here. Quick Ball might find them a Zacian if they have the switch, could potentially be the way to go. Or maybe just the Dedenne, help to draw some cards, especially if they need that switch to get out of the active.
Yeah, and we do have access to that Horror House GX next turn. We're holding the Switch, obviously, and the Gengar Mimikyu to discard with the Professor's Research. So our opponent actually has to be careful with the hand this turn. If they draw a whole bunch of trainer cards off of something like a Research of their own, they could potentially fall prey to the Poltergeist on the following turn. And since we went since we went first, we actually would also have access to the second effect to force our opponent to draw up. So it's definitely a pretty strong hand, considering it looks like they are going to go for that.
Well, they've switched into the Jirachi here, actually. So the Dedenne maybe meaning that they're a little bit greedy here. They've got the Dedenne into the field of play. They're going, oh, I'll just switch into this Jirachi and give myself a chance to draw some more cards. But they've fallen for the classic trap, Jordan. That is, you've got the Switch. Why are you switching into Jirachi? Just to look for another Switch?
Well, I think in that situation, it's actually a really smart play from our opponent, because they've got the Metal Energy on the Jirachi. So they can look at the 6 cards from the Dedenne. If they find something like a Switch or a Skateboard, they can freely go for the Stellar Wish, or if they miss it, they can just retreat the metal off, and it's fine.
Yep.
So I imagine that since we saw the Stellar Wish, I would have thought that it meant they had the Switch effect, but it looks like they don't.
Think so.
The Intrepid Sword.
They actually got the 2 energy on the Intrepid Sword, which is pretty frightening.
So yeah, that might mean that our opponent actually is choosing purposely to wait a turn and hopefully get greedy and go for that double effect GX attack that really does just win the matchup. But we get rewarded by finding the quick ball off the top for the Jirachi. And you're not going for Clear Vision here,
I almost guarantee you that I'm not going to go for Clear Vision, because I'm going to get greedy and go, right, I'm going to get the GX, and then I'm going to Marnie Night Watch, because I want to show off Marnie Night Watch, right? So I'm not going to Clear Vision.
GX attack,
I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in it. I don't want to play it. I'm not interested. I've been immediately punished because I've got nothing in this hand, but it's going to be fine. Right, it's going to be okay. We've got the Aurora Energy to attack.
I'm just disappointed.
No, I'm just glad that I'm not recording this with Blake, because it would have gone down really poorly. That's okay. We've got Horror House here. The 2 energy as well means that our opponent's going to draw another card. We're going to draw 2. I find nothing. My opponent is in an awkward spot, and my Horror House into Night Watch plan isn't looking very strong at the moment.
No, not quite. And it's actually really funny there, because the flips on the Jirachi actually could have had a bit of an impact on this game, because if that Jirachi had woken up, they could have theoretically just paid to retreat the Jirachi, retreated into that ADP, and if they wanted to, they could settle for the single effect GX attack. I don't know if it would have been correct for them to do so. Now that you've used your GX attack and revealed that you're not going to be using Clear Vision this turn, they're probably going to be more inclined to wait for that full effect ADP attack anyway. But yeah, our opponent's kind of just giving up on trying to stay out of Poltergeist range, just going for a Stellar Wish and an Intrepid Sword. So if we do find a way to gust that ADP and knock it out with Poltergeist, that would be really
punished to top deck the Marnie. Never punished, Jordan. Never ever punished. So we're gonna
There's 2 Great Catcher in the discard pile though. So best case scenario, we just need to Marnie Night Watch and hope that our opponent doesn't hit an energy.
It'll be fine. We'll Marnie Night Watch. We'll take knockout on Jirachi and remove some supporters. It'll be fine. Oh, we got them both. We got Marnie and Professor's Research. No skill required. None required.
I'm not okay with what's happening right now, Mitch. I am not okay.
Hey, listen, I had to put up a bad game eventually. It was one of those ones where I was sitting there going, oh, I don't want to record another game after this. I know I've played really poorly, but at least I can make it entertaining. So, my opponent now...
It certainly is entertaining. And to be fair, I mean, this is still a super close game for both players.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
Even if they don't get a supporter this turn, they do have access to that Brave Blade from Zacian, or once again, they could just settle for that single effect ADP attack, which I feel like they don't want to settle for, but it's not the worst thing in the world if they do.
Yep.
Because you can just knock out 2 Mewtwo's back-to-back with Zacians. And we see our opponent once again going potentially a little greedy with the Stellar Wishes. They're probably trying to hunt for a supporter there, finding the Shrine of Punishment instead. But this time they had to switch to back it up. So we're going to see the Brave Blade here for 250 damage effectively, which is definitely really strong. We do have the Viridian Forest, obviously, to counteract that, which is pretty good. But we don't really want to give them an energy either. It's probably worth it, but certainly not the best stadium to replace with in this scenario.
Yeah, exactly. We've got the Viridian, which means we can get ourselves into a relatively strong position. I guess the best thing for us here is that we've got a Mewtwo with 240 damage on it. We're going to have enough energy to use Ultra Necrozma here to take a knockout on Zacian, which is very strong, and we're almost guaranteed to see our opponent simply GX next turn. It's very unlikely that they're going to be able to take a knockout, so we are in a decent position. That one was a legitimate misclick. That meant to go on the Jirachi, and it will screw me for the rest of the game, I guarantee you. But that was not bad play. That was a legitimate misclick.
I'll forgive you for that one.
I'm sorry, because I unfroze the board here as well. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, this is fine. It's never punished, right?
Yeah, never punished. It'll be fine.
And you put yourself in a pretty good board state here regardless. I mean, you've gotten yourself down to 3 prizes, and your opponent still has not declared that ADP GX attack. So you know that's going to be coming active, and if it comes active, that is a free chance to strike at it, which is really important considering we haven't actually got any Great Catchers left in the deck. So
yeah,
even just a small half hit from a Night Watch or something like that, which we are actually holding, so that's a guaranteed Night Watch off, means that we can effectively guarantee the game if we ever pull off a Naganadel Venom Shot. So definitely a really strong board position here. Our opponent once again going into Jirachi for the second time, really digging hard for that supporter. Finally gets it, but I wonder if they've trapped themselves and not going to be able to get out the active again.
Well, I mean, they have used a lot of their switches already, and you'd think if they do have one left, that would be it. But they do get the research, they draw themselves a fresh set of cards, and more importantly, they replace that Stadium Shrine of Punishment coming back down, so that could potentially put us on a real clock here. We're going to need to find our last Stadium in deck, or otherwise this Mewtwo Mew is dead in a turn and a half.
Yeah, it does put us on a clock for sure, but the Shrine damage is actually going to be ticking down on that ADP as well, which is actually pretty scary for them, because it means if we do pull off an Ultra Necrozma for 260 damage onto that Arceus Dialga Palkia, it will actually be enough to win the game now, and we're only 1 Malamar away from actually pulling off that 260 damage. Not that it's going to matter now, because our opponent missed the switch again, so they're going to lose, probably.
Yep. Like I said, never punished. So, yeah, my opponent going into multiple Jirachis means that they end up missing. And me here, I'm also playing suboptimally, because now I have to promote a Dedenne with energy attached just to get around Absol. Would have much preferred if that was a Jirachi, but it's okay. Means that we've got the Night Watch here. We can Marnie if we want. I think I'm going to go for it, just to give them less cards to utilize. I do eventually get into another Malamar, which is really strong, but not another attacker, which is a bit concerning. The good thing here, though, is that I will be able to use Malamar to put an energy onto this Dedenne, so that next turn I can retreat, because this Mewtwo's getting knocked out, like it's gone next turn. So I'm going to give myself an opportunity to retreat here, take a prize with Night Watch, and we'll see how we go from here.
Yep, so now that you're down to 2 prizes, the Venom Shot for game is guaranteed with that Dedenne on the bench if we ever get to it. It's not possible to get to it next turn because there's only 2 Malamar on the board, no Inkays on bench, so it'll be impossible to get a 4 energy Mewtwo onto the board next turn. And the chances of Mewtwo surviving this turn would involve our opponent replacing the Stadium and not attacking, so I wouldn't be banking on that either.
No, it's unlikely. And the Fion coming down from our opponent here, so they actually might be able to take 4 prizes this turn, which could be very, very scary. They also Marnie us here, so our hand's going to the bottom of our deck. It's not the end of the world. I mean, it's not an amazing hand, but we're going to look at a brand new 4 cards, and hopefully they're a little bit better.
There's a Mewtwo, which is probably one of the better cards we could get. We've also got the Giratina in our discard pile, so if our opponent does just take 3 prizes from this Mewtwo, it's not a bad idea to just go into a Tina, Shadow Impact. If our opponent knocks it out, they take 2 prizes if they GX this turn. It's fine. We're actually going to go for the Whirlpool suction here, which is interesting. I mean, they're going to knock us out with Shrine anyway this turn, so I guess that's a pretty decent play. This is like the perfect turn for them to GX. Are they not going to GX?
They're not going to GX, Jordan. They're going to try and take 5 prizes this turn with a Pokemon catcher. Flips tails, unfortunately, so only 4 prizes for them. It means that now I'm going to have an opportunity to try and get a knockout. Here's the thing, Jordan. They're going to have like 8 or 9 cards in hand because they've just taken 4 prizes. So if I get lucky, I could potentially win the game this turn.
Yeah, I mean, it's not impossible. Definitely want to see an energy is like one of the best cards we could find. But if we do just go for the Poltergeist here, it's certainly not a bad play to go for, because you don't only need 5 trainers for Zacian to knock it out. I feel like with our current hand, it's basically the only play that we even have the option of going for. So I guess we don't really have a choice but to go for it, and that is enough.
Never punished. I'm the greatest Pokemon player in the world.
I'm disgusted by many things that happened in that game, but well played.
Thank you. There we have it. Mewmew Malamar, one of those decks that if you do get a little bit lucky every now and then, you can put yourself in a winning position. We did see the Trevnoir coming in clutch in that game, removing all sorts of things from our opponent's hands that they would have liked to have seen. Thank you very much to Sobi for sharing his list, and thank you very much to all of you for watching. If you like the content and want to see more, then consider subscribing by clicking this button over here. There are some videos that YouTube thinks you'll like on the side, and down the bottom we've got some more deck profiles for you from Sword and Shield. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at @thesableize_YT, and apart from that, we'll see you all next time for more from the Sableyes. Bye.